So my sister put my house up online and called me a placeholder, then basically profited off my existence to the tune of $14,000. But guess what? I sold it right from under them. My sister, she was grinning like an idiot, standing in my $750,000 house before the family reunion. Dad promised this to me as a wedding gift, she said. Like, this is mine, you don't even belong here. My own father laughed too, even though I'd already sunk $650,000 into the place. You don't belong here, he told me. I didn't say a word, just pulled out the deed and texted them. Do you really think this is your house? Nancy was already acting like she was the owner, her voice bouncing off the walls. She was in my living room barefoot, her heels kicked off by the fireplace, like she was doing a walk-through before closing. Dad promised me this house for a wedding gift, she repeated, turning to glare at me like I was some stranger. I still had that bottle of red wine in my hand, you know, the one I got for the family get-together. My knuckles were white, gripping the bottle. I hadn't even said hi yet. Then Dad just sauntered in, looked at me, then at Nancy, and walked right past me like I was air. You brought money, he said, but you don't belong here. That was it. No hugs, no good to see you. Just completely dismissing the $650,000 I'd poured into that house over the last 10 years. My life savings. A whole decade of hustling, freelancing, working 2 jobs at once with no breaks and no safety net. And there they were in my kitchen, acting like they caught me trespassing. I didn't say a word. I just walked over to the drawer by the stove, grabbed a clear envelope with a single important paper inside and put it on the counter. Dad gave it a look, squinting a little. His jaw tightened. It was the deed, all right. Then I got out my phone, no big scene, just cool and collected, just one text I'd written a few months back. I didn't save it because I thought I'd use it, but because I knew I'd need it eventually. Family group text. Sold. The room went quiet. Nancy looked completely drained. Her smirk faded away. She glanced around the room again. The fireplace, the view of the canyon, the wood floors, like when you know you're never seeing something again. You're lying, she choked out. I didn't say anything back. She had no clue the paperwork was signed the day before, that the money was already in the bank, and that the deal was finalized just a couple hours earlier. But it wasn't really about the house. It was about that feeling that no matter what I did or how far I went, I'd always be the one they'd brush aside. Well, not this time. And when the door finally closed behind them, I wasn't sad. I felt free, because it wasn't the finish line. It was the starting point. They had no idea what was coming. What was the hardest part? I wanted to think they didn't mean to be that way. Even after that whole thing in the kitchen, Nancy all smug, Dad being a jerk, and me just quiet. I tried to tell myself it was all just a misunderstanding. Maybe they were just stressed. The crazy thing about family is when they show you who they really are and you're still holding out hope for something else, you end up trapping yourself. This wasn't a recent thing either. It started way back. I was the one who covered Nancy's college debts after she quit like twice. Then there were those times Mom said her card got skimmed and they were waiting on a refund. I'd send money, wire it over. $1,000 here, a couple grand there. Always just until next month, you know. This went on for 6 years. Never saw a penny back, never even got a thank you. I paid the property taxes on my parents' house 3 times and they didn't even notice. They just figured the county stopped sending them bills, being old folks. Then there was Nancy's car insurance for 2 years after she wrecked her car and blamed it on an icy road in July. After that, she got a new one, and bam, selfies all over Instagram. The caption was something like, "Some people are just lucky." No tags, no mentions. Just a little swipe from someone else's hard work, you know. Even so, I stayed quiet. I was the invisible backup plan. They just assumed they deserved my money because I made good money right up until I bought the house. That house changed everything. I suddenly had something they couldn't just ignore, couldn't get their hands on, and they hated it. Then one night, Nancy posted in the family group chat, "Can't wait to move into my dream home. Big things are coming. Stay tuned." I didn't say anything, but I noticed how Mom just ate that message right up. "That's my girl," Dad told me. "You always deserve the best." 2 minutes later, Nancy sent me a private message. "Don't be shocked if the reunion's at your place. You've got the extra space." Then the public stuff started. An unauthorized photo of my house popped up on her Instagram story, basically showing off my supposed future. I texted her, "Where'd you even get this picture?" She just left me on read. Then the fundraising began. Oh yeah, the fundraising. Nancy created a GoFundMe called "Help Us Build Our Family Dream Home." In the description, she wrote, "This property has been in our family for ages. My brother is just a placeholder." A placeholder. Like I was just renting my own life. People started sharing it like crazy. Distant cousins, old school friends, you name it. She raised $14,000 in 3 days. I confronted her. She said, "It's not personal. You're just too attached to things. You always were." Then, just when I thought I was at my breaking point, the video hit. A 22-second Facebook video showed Dad walking through my hallway, giving a fake tour of his future son-in-law's place. "This is where we'll put the pool table. Nancy always wanted that. Probably rip out this wall and make the kitchen bigger. Gotta make room for the grandkids. Of course, we thank our kid for, keeping the lights on." 700 likes, tons of comments. "Wow, this looks amazing. Can't wait to visit." Nobody knew the real story. The house was in my name, so the mortgage payment just disappeared from my account. That's when I realized it was all about what they thought they deserved. That's when I was done pretending. I started looking into it, really digging. Then I remembered something. Nancy's old hard drive. She was always hauling it around with her. She used to brag about having backups of everything. "I never delete anything, you know? You never know when you might need proof of something." I went to my storage unit and found the backup. She left years ago when I helped her move everything to a new laptop. I plugged it in and waited. At first, it was just a bunch of dumb selfies, folders labeled bridesmaid inspo, and files with names like LOL, Final V3 PDF. Then I saw the folders. Exes, family, and fakes do not delete and keep screenshots as proof I welcomed my family. Inside, there were tons of doctored screenshots. Text she'd changed to make it look like I was threatening her. Emails were completely rewritten. My bank statements were twisted into threats and insults. She even had audio clips pieced together to sound like angry voicemails from me. I listened to one. "You do not matter. I hope your life falls apart." My voice all choppy like a ransom note. You could tell it was fake if you listened closely, but who would? She was clearly planning something. I copied everything. Then I checked the dates on everything. Some of the messages were from times I was even out of the country. She wasn't just messing with the family. She had built a case. For what, though? I didn't know yet, but I couldn't wait to find out. I made my own file. It all completely fell apart 3 days before the reunion. I got a text from Ron. One of Dad's old buddies hadn't heard from him in ages. It said, "Hey, your dad's been showing people around the house. He said he's giving it to Nancy. Is that true?" I just stared at my phone, didn't text back. Instead, I called the realtor. This was the same person who helped me buy the place, and I said 4 words I never thought I'd say. "Let's put it on the market." They showed up, decked out Nancy in ivory and pearls, looking like, well, a Nancy. Mom was in some floral thing, and Dad was wearing a blazer he only pulled out when he wanted everyone to think he was still in charge. They arrived early, naturally. They clearly thought it was already theirs. The reunion was supposed to kick off at 5, but the guests usually started showing up around 4:30. Around 3:48, I heard the gate code beep. 3 sets of shoes echoed on the marble as they came into a home I had already sold. I was in the kitchen, cool as a cucumber, just waiting. Everything was arranged perfectly. Dad strolled in first, glancing around like he was doing a final walkthrough. "So this is it, huh? The big goodbye?" he said. "Better late than never. Just sign the papers after the party and we're done." I didn't say a thing. Nancy followed, stopping in the living room, grinning like she was about to walk down the aisle. "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to paint this place. Maybe that awful gray can finally go." No offense, I guess. Mom was the last one through the door. She just sat there, quiet as a mouse. That's how she always was, just watching. I let them, Nancy and her dad, get comfortable, let them get all settled in, before I dropped the bomb. Then, ding-dong, the doorbell. It was Zach, Nancy's ex. The guy she'd completely trashed and dumped. The one she'd sucked completely dry. He looked sharper than I remembered, all businesslike, holding a briefcase. Nancy's face, it just crumbled. "What are you doing here?" I asked. He didn't answer, just walked right in, gave me a nod, and plopped the briefcase down on the kitchen island. "I think it's time this family saw the real Nancy," he said, loud and clear. He opened the briefcase. Inside, screenshots, texts, transcripts, the whole 9 yards, a printed timeline of texts and voicemails. He'd gotten them off a hard drive. My buddy who does digital forensics, he owed me one big time. Everything was dated, verified, the works. Nancy practically jumped. "This isn't real," she shrieked. "You can't just bring this garbage here." "Sit down," I said, way calmer than I felt. It wasn't a request, it sounded more like an order. She hesitated. My dad moved toward the folder. He read just 1 page. His face didn't change a bit. Then I spoke. "This," I said, "is a message Nancy sent to Zach's boss pretending to be a past girlfriend trying to get him fired." Silence. "And this," I continued, "is a fake text thread she cooked up between me and her where I supposedly threatened her." I grabbed the tablet I'd set up on the dining room table and tapped the screen. It played back a recording of my own voice, all chopped up and weird sounding. "You are nothing. I've always hated your guts." My dad sort of jumped. Mom took a step back. After that, I slammed the drive onto the table. Everything she ever lied about is right here. It was all dated and time-stamped and totally accessible. Nancy was actually trembling. "You're making a spectacle of yourself," she yelled. "No," I shot back, "I'm ending one." And then the second person arrived, my grandpa, Dad's father. He hadn't talked to any of us in ages, but he was the one I always trusted to tell it like it is. He came in the door, quiet and intimidating in his own way. My dad's face went white. Grandpa went over to the table, looked at the stuff, then looked at Nancy. "You're just like your dad," he told me. Then I turned to my dad. "You lied, you used this kid. You ripped him off and you let your daughter do even worse." Finally, Dad broke. "Get out of my house." "It's not your house anymore," I said. I pulled a white envelope out of my back pocket and slid it across the table. "This is the final transfer agreement, signed, witnessed, and done yesterday." Nancy was stunned. "You sold the house?" "Yep, full price, no deals, no gifts, no inheritance." "But," Dad started. "Dad lies," I said. She turned to him. "You promised," he snapped. I said what I needed to. "You think this is about you? I built this family." Grandpa raised his hand. "No, you wrecked it." Then I just looked at them all. I was so angry at Nancy, the way she played me, and at my mom for letting her. And my dad, he orchestrated the whole thing like some worn-out hustler pulling off one last scam. I just told them, "I don't belong here, and I'm out of here. And I'm taking everything you thought was yours with me." Then I walked out. I didn't stick around for the rest of that party, didn't wait for anyone else to show up. I left them there in their house, surrounded by proof they'd built their whole lives on lies and stolen loyalty. The only thing louder than the quiet I left behind was that door slamming shut. I didn't go home that night or the next. I checked into a fancy hotel, one of those quiet, expensive places I used to look at online and dream about. I booked 2 weeks, paid the whole thing up front. It wasn't that I had nowhere else to go, it was that I needed space. I needed to see my life without them in it, you know? Room service, coffee on the balcony, long walks without my phone glued to my hand. I texted my boss, said I needed a week off, then just shut everything down. The first call came on day one, my mom, then another, and another. 18 missed calls in a single day. I didn't answer any of them. On day 3, my dad finally called. He was freaking out. "What did you do? Everything's falling apart." I looked at the text message. I saved it in a new folder I called "That's Their Burden Now." Then on day 5, Nancy showed up at the hotel. I saw her in the lobby from the elevator. Big sunglasses, holding something, a paper, maybe. Another one of her shows, I figured. I just hit the button to go back up. Let her wait. 9 days later, the notary called. The house was finally sold. The money was in my secret account safe, totally mine. It wasn't a happy feeling, though, just quiet. That night, I finally did it. After all these years, I finished the paperwork for my own business. It's a small agency, nothing fancy, that investigates financial stuff for people who think their families ripped them off. No big announcement, just a website and a bunch of people already wanting my help. Turns out, a lot of people are sick of being taken advantage of by people who pretend to care. I got clients fast. An old coworker, a friend of a friend, even my dad, the guy who used to make fun of investors for being chicken, sent me a contract and a check. For the first time in ages, I didn't need a plan B, but back home, things were blowing up. A neighbor from my old street texted. My mom had shown up begging for money, saying we were fighting, crying her eyes out. I told him, "Don't believe a word of it. I'm done with all that." He got it. In the 4th week, I got a letter from the bank. It said my name was off everything, the mortgage, the spending, all of it. They were on their own financially. If they messed up payments, the bill collectors would be coming after them. I didn't react, not even a twitch. I didn't call them, didn't try to explain anything. I didn't even bother to ask if they were okay. That week, I also took off the last password I had for my personal stuff. Then a message from my mom's old work buddy popped up. She said, "You've changed. I bet you're trying to ruin your family. You're not the same son anymore." I just sent back, "I just stopped destroying myself." That was it, the last thing I ever said to her. No big arguments, no nothing. After that, things went quiet. No more calls, no more guilty feelings, just silence. But it wasn't that lonely kind of silence. It was peaceful. The kind where you can actually sleep without grinding your teeth, where you can make breakfast and not worry about who's gonna want some. Quiet didn't feel like a punishment, it felt like freedom. The last time I saw any of them was when I shut the door on that house of mine. Now it's somebody else's place. 2 months passed, not a single call, not a single message, nothing, and then the whispers started. It wasn't a get-together and it wasn't an apology. It was about trying to fix things. One of my contacts from work told me about a name on a fraud report. Someone was trying to get help with housing, but their income history was sketchy. The name on the application was Nancy, and my parents were listed as co-signers. I just watched, didn't say a word, made a mental note, though. They were still trying to screw me over, even without me playing along. A week later, my accountant called someone had tried to file some business stuff using my old login. The IP address? traced right back to my dad's hometown. Okay, game on, but I didn't scream or threaten anybody. I just cut ties. I closed every shared account we had. I even took away my mom's access. She couldn't even check the balance anymore. I gave my agency a whole new name, totally re-registered everything under a brand new parent company. They tried everything to get a hold of me, and then I did the final thing. I changed my name, not for any big dramatic effect, just for me. I took my grandpa's last name. He was the only guy in my family who never avoided my eye contact, never flinched when I was upset. I kept my first name, but it felt different somehow. Like free. The new office was small, but really nice and clean. No distractions, no mess, just people I'd chosen. I put up a little silver plaque by the door. We do not work with relatives. People thought it was a joke. It wasn't. It was a statement. At first, I didn't reach out to anyone from my old life. No old family buddies, no, he means well relatives. Just my team, people I trust. People who don't need me to be their therapist to get through the day. And then, something amazing happened. It was quiet, but perfect. I pulled up for my usual morning coffee, same place, same drink. And then I heard a voice behind me. It was my mom. I hadn't heard her in ages. Her voice sounded just like always, but smaller somehow. She saw me and just stopped dead. I turned around, met her eyes, and walked away like she was a stranger. No anger, no words, just quiet. She didn't say a thing, which was a first for her. And for me, it was the first time I didn't give a damn. My apartment now has high ceilings, huge windows, and nice furniture. No old stuff, no echoes of the past. Nothing extra lying around. There aren't any family pictures on display. Just a single photo of me in front of my new office, holding the keys like I was wielding a weapon. A new last name is on the mailbox. No baggage, no embarrassment. A neighbor asked me once why I chose it. Is it in honor of someone? Nope, I told them. It's the only name that never lied to me. There's power in leaving without explaining and letting people speculate endlessly, wondering why you stopped answering, keeping your distance, and being the one who always gets to decide if you return. They don't get it. It wasn't easy. It was a slow burn. Years of little betrayals and all the hidden sacrifices finally took their toll. Until one day I just walked out of the flames without a backward glance. I still get asked by people who have heard bits and pieces of what happened. They ask, do you ever miss them? I smile and tell them you can't miss something you never had. Because what I had wasn't love, it was just a way to get what they wanted. And the second I cut them off, everything fell apart. I remember walking by the office one evening after everyone had left. The sign above the door, the one with the silver lettering, it just gleamed in the light. We do not work with relatives. It was so bright. That same week, I had a second line added underneath, etched in small, but for good. It said, if you believe I owe you anything, you were never family at all. Most people won't even see it unless they're really looking. But they will. These things always get around, you know. I can just picture someone walking up to that door someday and asking about that quiet kid who used to throw money at everyone's problems. They'll see the sign, they'll see the name, and they'll know I'm not there anymore. And the guy who took my place, he doesn't have an ounce of pity for anyone. I'm not someone they can use anymore, but I can still hurt people. Only this time I chose not to.